My boyfriend promised he'd protect the only family I had left, but instead he watched them fall while he played video games. And when I found my 21-year-old cat broken on the pavement, I realized the man I loved was a monster hiding behind a smile. I walked into our apartment that Tuesday, and the first thing I noticed wasn't the silence, but the breeze, that cold, mocking draft coming from the second-story window I had begged Mark never to leave open. A window that stood like a gaping wound in our home because Mark always thought he knew better, always insisted I was being paranoid or over-controlling, for wanting to protect a cat that had been my shadow since I was 12 years old. My cat, Leo, wasn't just a pet. He was a living library of my life, the only creature who had been there when my parents moved away and told me to figure it out. The one who purred through my college finals and sat on my lap through every heartbreak. And yet Mark treated his life like it was a footnote in our relationship. I remember the way the air felt in my lungs as I saw the screen pushed out, the way my heart didn't just drop, it shattered as I ran down those stairs, screaming his name until my throat felt like it was bleeding. Only to find him lying there, a tiny fragile puff of fur that looked so small against the cold, unforgiving concrete. Mark didn't even notice he was gone until I came back upstairs, hysterical and covered in blood and dust, and for a moment, I saw what I thought was real remorse as he cried and apologized, even helping me scrape together the money for the initial emergency vet visit. But as the days bled into a blur of hospital waiting rooms and the rhythmic, clinical beep of monitors, the mask began to slip. It's been 3 days of me living on coffee and tears, 3 days of smelling that sharp, sterile scent of the ICU where Leo is fighting for every single breath. And while I am drowning in grief, Mark has moved on to the next level of his game, laughing at TikToks in the next room while I stare at a bank account drained by the cost of his negligence. I see him now talking to me with this casual, breezy tone, asking what's for dinner or telling me I need to chill out because it was an accident. And I realize he isn't the partner I thought he was. He is the villain of this story, an entitled soul who thinks that because he apologized once, I owe him a return to normalcy. Every time I hear him chuckle at a video, it feels like a physical blow to my chest. A reminder that to him 21 years of loyalty and love can be erased by a shrug and a sorry. And I can't help but feel like the other one in my own home. The boring, dramatic girlfriend who cares too much about a dying animal, while he just wants to keep the vibe positive. The vibe positive. I find myself sitting in the dark watching him sleep, and I don't see the man I fell in love with. I see someone as cold and clinical as the email my mother sent after 12 years of silence, someone who views my pain as an inconvenience rather than a shared burden. He tells me I'm overreacting, that I'm being difficult, just like the husband who tried to replace his wife with her sister, and the gaslighting is so thick I can taste it, making me wonder if my grief is a crime or if my standards for human decency are just too high for someone as shallow as him. I am the underdog here, the girl fighting to save a relic of her childhood while the person who was supposed to be my teammate treats the situation like a broken glass he already promised to sweep up. And I realize now that family isn't about blood or even a shared lease. It's about who stays in the trenches with you when the world falls apart. I think about the years I spent making excuses for his forgetfulness, the times he left the stove on or forgot the bills, and I see now that it wasn't clumsiness. It was a total lack of respect for the life we built. A narcissism that mirrors the parents who left a note on the counter and drove away. He isn't worried anymore because he's decided he's done enough. And as he sits there smiling at me, I feel a cold clarity wash over me. The same clarity that comes when you finally decide to stop running and start fighting back. I'm not just a girlfriend anymore. I am a guardian, and if he thinks he can laugh while my world is in a cage at the vet, he has no idea what's coming next, because once Leo comes home, and he is coming home, there won't be room in this apartment for a man who treats a life like a disposable toy. I am done being the absorber, the one who takes the hits and keeps functioning while he floats through life on my dime and my emotional labor. I am taking back my narrative, setting a boundary that he can never cross again, and realizing that my sweetest revenge isn't a scream or a scene. It's the silence he'll find when he realizes he lost a woman who would have given him everything, all because he couldn't be bothered to close a window. I see him now the same way I see those who tried to force me into a life I didn't want, as an obstacle to my peace. And as I pack his things in my head while he asks if I've seen the remote, I know that my future doesn't include a man who finds humor in a house that smells like heartbreak. I'm figuring it out, just like that cruel note said all those years ago, but this time I'm figuring out that I am worth more than a partner who views my loyalty as a license to be careless. And as I head back to the hospital to sit with the only soul who has never let me down, I feel a strange sense of victory, because I'm finally choosing the family that chose me. He can keep his laughter and his games, but he won't keep me, and as the door clicks shut behind me tonight, I'm not just leaving to see my cat. I'm leaving the version of myself that thought I deserved a man like him, and that is the most satisfying resolution I could ever ask for.